Have you ever felt the sting of being ignored by the very person who claims to love you the most? It's a strange kind of pain, isn't it? When the one who should make you feel seen is the one who turns away. You lie there at night wondering, if they love me, why do they grow so silent? Why does closeness make them pull back? It doesn't feel fair. It doesn't even feel like love, but perhaps it is. Here's a truth that psychology and life itself quietly teaches us. When someone truly loves you, their silence, their distance, isn't always a sign of indifference. Sometimes it's the weight of love itself. They withdraw not because they've stopped caring, but because they care so deeply that it frightens them. Love, after all, can be terrifying. Psychologists tell us there are two deep fears behind this quiet distance. Two reasons why love often walks hand in hand with silence. The first is the fear of losing themselves. The second, the fear of losing you. Let's begin with the first. When a person truly falls in love, something remarkable happens. Their world begins to shift. Suddenly, you become their center. Your smile lifts their spirit. Your approval steadies their heart. Your attention feels like sunlight, and your silence feels like nightfall. It's beautiful, yes, but also terrifying. Because the deeper they fall, the more they fear losing the person they used to be. They begin to wonder, who am I without this love? What happens if they leave? Am I giving too much of myself away? Psychologists call this the fear of engulfment, the fear of being so close to someone that you lose the shape of who you are. So they step back, they create space. They ignore your messages. They take longer to call, not because they want to hurt you, but because their heart is struggling to protect its own identity. They're afraid that if they give too much, they'll disappear inside the relationship. Think about someone who's always been independent, who's built their world with their own hands, who's used to being in control. Then suddenly they meet you, and everything changes. You become their emotional gravity. And that frightens them. They feel vulnerable, exposed in ways they've never been before. So they retreat, they pull back. They stay silent for a time, not because they've stopped loving you, but because their love has grown so strong it threatens to consume them. Their silence, in this case, isn't rejection. It's a form of survival. Now the second fear, the fear of losing you. Love is powerful because it opens us up. It makes us soft in a world that often rewards hardness. The stronger the love, the greater the risk. And so, the more they love you, the more terrified they become of losing you. That fear can twist the way people behave. Instead of expressing their feelings, they hide them. Instead of reaching closer, they step back. Instead of holding on, they pretend not to care. Psychologists call this defensive withdrawal. When love feels so deep, so consuming, that the heart pulls away to protect itself from rejection. They think, if I show too much, maybe they won't feel the same. If I reveal how deeply I need them, maybe they'll take it for granted. If I open my heart completely, they could walk away and shatter me entirely. So they stay quiet, they build walls. They ignore you not because love has faded, but because it feels too dangerous to show. You've seen it before, someone avoiding eye contact with the person they can't stop thinking about. Someone acting cold toward the very soul they ache for. That's not indifference, that's fear. The kind of fear that only love can create. So when the one who loves you most seems to ignore you, remember, it often comes down to those two fears. The fear of losing themselves, and the fear of losing you. Both are born from love. Both come from vulnerability. And both make love look like distance. Now, let's step into their heart for a moment. Imagine how it feels inside them, a tug of war between two instincts. One part wants to hold you close, to send every message, to confess every feeling. The other whispers, be careful, don't lose yourself, don't give them the power to break you. And so they become inconsistent. One day warm, the next withdrawn. One moment open, the next distant. To you, it feels like confusion. To them, it feels like survival. That's where love so often becomes misunderstood. You see their silence as rejection. They experience it as self-protection. You see distance as fatting love. They feel it as proof of how deeply they care. The person who loves you may not always show it with constant attention or closeness. Sometimes their love hides within their silence. A silence that speaks of fear, devotion, and the delicate balance between holding on and letting be. So what do when the one who loves you retreats into silence? When the person who once reached for your hand suddenly pulls it away? First, don't rush to conclusions. Silence doesn't always mean rejection. Sometimes it's just a storm passing inside their heart, a struggle they don't yet know how to name. Their quietness isn't proof that they've stopped caring. It's proof that they're wrestling with emotions they can barely hold. Second, give them space. True love cannot breathe under pressure. If you chase too hard, they'll only run further. If you grant them the freedom to come to you in their own time, they'll return with a steadier heart. Love, like a bird, always finds its way back to a safe hand, not a closed fist. Third, speak with empathy. Instead of accusing them with sharp words like, "Why are you ignoring me?" Try something softer. "I've felt a little distance lately, and I'd like to understand what's going on." That simple change turns confrontation into conversation. It tells them they are safe to open up, safe to be imperfect, safe to be human. And when people feel safe, they speak truth. Finally, reassure them. Let them know your love isn't a trap, but a home. Tell them they don't have to choose between loving you and keeping themselves. Remind them that your love will remain steady even when they waver. Because sometimes their silence isn't a test of your patience, it's a quiet plea for safety. Now remember this, love isn't always loud. It isn't always words, messages, or endless attention. Sometimes love speaks in whispers. Sometimes it hides in small gestures, the way they remember your favorite drink, the way their eyes soften when they see you smile, the way they return after every silence. Love isn't measured by presence alone. It's measured by return. Think of the ocean, how the tide pulls away from the shore, only to find its way back again. That's how real love moves. It retreats when it must, but it never forgets where home is. And that return, that quiet, consistent coming back, is the truest sign that love still lives. Psychology has a name for this dance. It's called the anxious avoidant trap. One person craves closeness, the other craves space. Both are caught between fear and longing. One fears being abandoned. The other fears being swallowed whole. And so they circle one another, chasing, retreating, reaching, pulling back again. But beneath all that fear, there is love. It's what keeps them returning, even after silence. It's what draws them back, even when distance feels safer. So when someone who loves you seems to ignore you, don't be quick to believe the lie that their silence means they've stopped caring. Look instead at the pattern. Do they always find their way back? Do they still show care in quiet ways? Do they hold on to you, even imperfectly? If they do, that's love. Not fairy tale love, not flawless love, but real human love, fragile, uncertain, yet profoundly sincere. And here's the deeper truth. The person who loves you most may sometimes seem to ignore you most. Not because their love has faded, but because their love burns too brightly for their heart to handle. Their silence is the language of fear, not rejection. Their distance is the shield of vulnerability, not neglect. They love you so much, it terrifies them. So when you find yourself thinking, "They don't care about me anymore," pause and remember this. Sometimes love hides in silence. Sometimes it pulls away, not to abandon but to breathe. They may withdraw not because their heart is empty, but because it's overflowing. Real love isn't perfect. It's not constant reassurance or endless attention. It's flawed, it's fearful, but it endures. The truest sign of love is not in never pulling away, but in always coming back. So if they step back sometimes, yet always return. If they drift away, yet never truly let go, hold on to that. Because that's love, not the polished kind we read about in stories, but the kind that lives in real hearts, fragile, anxious, and deeply human. And that's why psychology says that sometimes the person who loves you most will seem to ignore you. Not because they've stopped loving you, but because they're afraid. Afraid of losing you. Afraid of losing themselves. And both of those fears come from the same place, love itself. So don't be fooled by silence. Don't be deceived by distance. Love doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it hides. Sometimes it pulls away, only to come back stronger. And if they always return, if they always find their way back to you, then you can be sure of one thing. That's love. Not easy, not simple, but real, enduring, and beautifully human. So, my friend, if you're standing in the quiet of someone's distance right now, don't rush to fill it with noise. Let the silence teach you patience. Let it remind you that love, like the seasons, has its tides. It comes close, it drifts, and it returns again. Don't chase what is already yours in spirit. Don't harden your heart because someone needed space to breathe. Instead, learn to love with steadiness, not fear. To hold your peace, even when affection feels uncertain. That is the Stoic way, to understand that we cannot control another's heart, only our own. To love without possession, to wait without resentment, and to trust that what is meant to return will always find its way back. Because true strength in love is not in holding tighter, it's in standing calm, open, and unafraid. If this message spoke to you, take a moment, breathe, reflect, and share it with someone who may need this reminder tonight. And if you found value here, leave a comment below. Tell me what part of this truth resonated with you the most. Your thoughts and reflections help others see that they are not alone in what they feel. Until next time, stay grounded, stay kind, and remember, real love may grow silent, but it never truly disappears. This is the Modern Stoic.